whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're going to hurt some people. Whose car are we going to take?
Good morning. Happy Friday, my friends. Thank you for joining us on the Nikki Medoro Show. Love seeing so many of you guys bright and early on this Friday. I have a delicious baked good that I baked right next to myself. Let's welcome Kim McAllister. Kim, I have baked this for our Friday food segment. This is our first Friday food segment in the morning. And I will have to tell you, it's difficult for me to decide what exactly we're going to eat because it is 9-10 o'clock in the morning during the show. So yes, good morning.
I love how industrious you've been, though. You baked it yourself.
I did, and yes, I did this. So coming up at in about 30 minutes or so, we will actually be talking to somebody during our Friday food segment. She's all the way in the UK. She's called the Baking Boss. And her name is Naomi Rose. I love her name. It's like Naomi Rose. So she's going to talk to us about how she left the, kind of her corporate 9-to-5 job to become an online baker. And she really didn't have very much experience doing this. I mean, I think she loved to bake and that sort of thing. So we'll hear her story. I've been listening to some of her podcasts as well because she also has a YouTube channel. Just this whole idea of imposter syndrome. Anyways, I went on her website. I looked for a bunch of recipes to make today. And I was like, well, she's in the UK. I'll make a scone. It's a cheese scone that I made over here. It has melty butter in it. So we'll be having that during our Friday food segment. Yeah, it's going to be delicious. It smells delicious. We're going to start off the show after Kim's news, debating the debate. So Ron DeSantis has agreed to debate Governor Gavin Newsom. I'll play a little bit of what he said on Sean Hannity, what DeSantis said on Sean Hannity.
Oh, Gavin Newsom is going to roast him up, fry him, and serve him on a platter.
I would hope so, because Newsom sent them a letter, and it's like, let's freaking do this. So we'll take odds. I'll take bets on in the comments, just friendly.
I don't think it wasn't very smart of him. I don't think. Do you?
Who, DeSantis?
No, yes, DeSantis to agree to debate Gavin Newsom.
It's ego, dude. It is so ego. Of
telling
course,
you.
he has to say yes. But I feel like we'll talk about this during the thing because I don't want to but I just feel like Ron DeSantis. I agree with you. I think he's gonna get his ass handed to him, but that's just me.
Does he not know that Gavin Newsom is like an encyclopedia of facts and
never stops talking? Like
no,
he's gonna filibuster the whole damn.
It's gonna be awesome.
Exactly. Newsom has dyslexia, so he doesn't take notes. So he just goes like,
and he knows
never covered
everything.
Him. It's so hard.
He's memorized all the facts and figures.
Everything.
Like it spews out of his mouth. And while he does pause, he won't be pausing for DeSantis to cut in. This is gonna be fantastic.
It's going to be fantastic. Okay, so we'll talk about that. We will also be talking. We have two homeless stories. One local, one all the way in Texas. So San Jose is banning homeless encampments near schools. Do you think 150 feet is actually far enough and will make a difference? And then in Texas, a court ruled on whether it's a crime to feed the hungry, feed the homeless. So it's kind of an insane story. In the second part of the show, of course, we have Tim Sika. He will be talking movies and things to watch and stream. But let's take a look first at some other headlines from across the nation. But before we go to Kim's news, come on, people. You know what we need to do? You need to click the thumbs up button, show your support of the show. I do want to give a big thank you to Harry, who's making it, kind of a habit to start us off in the super chat with a $5 super sticker. Thank you, Harry. I mean, sometimes it takes somebody to get the ball rolling with this, and we really do appreciate everybody that's able to donate either through the super chat, which if you're new to this whole thing, it's the $sign under the live chat box where you guys are all talking to each other. Look for the $sign. You could throw us as much money as you feel like it. And if you do a comment, we'll read it during the show. And so we really appreciate the support. And then become a Medorable. Go to thenikkimedoroshow.com and become an official fan of the show. You could donate any amount to our Patreon. And then if you are already a Medorable and you can afford a little bit more one time a month, please do so. We really appreciate it. We need it. This show is 100% crowdfunded, and we are here because all of you support the show each and every day, and we really do appreciate it. The NikkiMedoroShow.com also has the links to our PayPal. There's my email as well. If you want to reach me, just email me at thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com, and our merch shop, thenikkimedoroshop.com. All right, so we're going to talk about so much, and yes, put in your bets. Who do you think will win in a debate? Ron DeSantis, Gavin Newsom. Looks like it's going to be happening. We'll talk about that after Kim's news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The makeup is on, the hair is brushed, and here we go.
9 o'clock comes quick, my friend.
Oh, well, let's start with Donald Trump and his allies in Congress who claim now that the former president won't get a fair trial in Washington, D.C.
It's excuse after excuse after excuse.
Right. The former president, of course, pleaded not guilty to criminal charges yesterday over his alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. He has called for this case to be moved to West Virginia, which isn't very far away, but which is heavily has more Trump supporters than does Washington, D.C. So,
I mean, do you think there's going to be a change of venue? Because again, it seems to me that he's the president of the United States. We're not talking about, I need to move the venue because I need to move it to a place where maybe they haven't been obsessed with this story. The whole country has been obsessed with this story. So I think it should stay where it's at. I mean, unless you do not believe in our justice system and our court system and things like that, which is up for debate. But I don't think that he's going to get a change of venue. I don't.
I hope they don't.
I hope they don't.
The judge in the case is pretty tough. Although, if they got a change of venue and he still was found guilty,
exactly,
what are you complaining about, right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's a very important case. I mean, the United States against Donald Trump. It's so complicated, though, and he is so hiding, Kim, behind his presidential campaign. He is acting like it's President Biden bringing this case against him because he's like leading in the polls. It has nothing to do with Biden. It has everything to do with what you did. And you should be held accountable for that. There is nobody that's in their right mind that truly believes that Donald Trump's words and actions and attempts at this conspiracy, that it didn't happen. I mean, of course it happened. We saw it happen with our own eyes. And I feel like it's a open and shut case, but this is America 2023.
It's on tape, video and audio. What do you want?
Exactly.
2 Navy sailors are accused of spying for China. The Justice Department announced the arrests of these 2 active duty members yesterday. They are accused of sending national defense information to Chinese officials in exchange for cold
money,
hard cash.
And I was asking myself, why would they want to do that? And I was like, oh yeah, just the basic. I want money. Okay, sell your soul for that, or sell your country for that.
Selling out America for money.
Selling out America. Yeah, thanks.
So bye
bye, sucker.
Republican presidential candidate Chris Christie showing his support for Ukraine and its war with Russia. The former New Jersey governor making an unannounced visit to Ukraine Friday, meeting with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. Christie said he supports more U.S. aid going to Ukraine and that it's important the U.S. is on the right side.
I don't know how anybody can argue that we can't help Ukraine. This Marjorie Taylor Greene aspect. Now, I understand it's a lot of money. I mean, there's always the argument of, okay, but how long and how much? And that's fair. But to say, no, we need to stop. You're going to let Russia take over and just keep the consequences of that, of not fighting back, are huge. And it's as if they just want to say things. I'm looking at you, Marjorie Taylor Greene, without any sort of realization of what that could actually mean, not just for Ukraine, but for Europe and for all of our allies out there. So it's not an easy thing to stop.
Did anybody expect Ukraine to last this long?
No, they thought like days, if maybe weeks.
Right. And because of all the help and because of all the assistance and because of all the equipment and training provided, they have a fighting chance at this.
No, but I want to know what the end actually looks like, because I don't trust Russia as far as I could throw them, right?
Yeah.
So they could stop. Okay, fine. We're not going to take it off. Then everybody puts their guards down, stops. I don't know what the end actually looks like. And we can't be in another unending war, right?
No.
It's going to have to stop at some point.
Really sad situation out of Texas where the Border Patrol says they caught someone trying to smuggle a backpack full of monkeys into the country. Border Patrol agents in Brownsville said yesterday that someone tried to sneak 7 South American spider monkeys across the border at Fort Brown by hiding them inside of a backpack. On Facebook, the agency called spider monkeys critically endangered animals, and they said the owner of the backpack has been arrested for suspected wildlife smuggling. You bring these animals into the United States and they sell them for a mint.
But I mean, are you allowed to have one of those monkeys in the United States?
No, I don't think you are. No.
So then why would you buy one if you can't even
because people do this, because people have these exotic pets, right? And they collect these endangered species, these special things. Yeah, no, that monkey needs to be in the wild doing its thing. The CDC is now recommending all infants younger than 8 months get a new antibody shot to protect against RSV.
I love this news. I love this news.
I don't know if your kid had RSV, but my son did when he was just about 1. It was, oh my God, scary. Really, really scary.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that given COVID and the vaccine and everything, do you think parents are going to vaccinate their children against RSV since this is a new, technically, vaccine?
I think people that are freaked out over vaccines are still going to be freaked out over vaccines. But I think there are more people that are logical and reasonable than not. And so it'll probably help a lot of babies.
I hope so, because I like you mentioned, if you've ever seen or know anybody that's gone through this, there's enough things to be frightened of when you have a newborn baby. This is something that you can avoid. And I really, really hope that people don't let politics and all that sort of stuff stop them and possibly put their kids at risk of this.
So they want your baby to get 1 dose of this RSV medicine antibody shot. The CDC is recommending a 2nd dose of this vaccine for certain infants with underlying health issues. Okay. The new vaccine is the first with approval to protect newborns against RSV, which is the leading cause of hospitalization among children less than a year old. I believe it. Yeah.
I love Chris's question. How did humans survive before vaccines? They didn't. We died younger.
They died.
I don't know if you know this, Chris, and I don't know if you're just being facetious, but we died a lot earlier.
Yeah.
That's why, I always laugh about this, just the history of marriage and till death do us part. The promise was a lot less heavy back then.
Yeah. His chances were good your wife was going to die in childbirth. That's why you had 8 kids, because half of them weren't going to make it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You needed someone to till the farm. You know what I mean? Vaccines, saved us. It made us live longer. Sometimes people are like, maybe we live too long. I don't think
it's not an uncommon story when you're looking up genealogy to say,
no, right.
Sue Ann had 9 children, but only 2 of them survived to adulthood.
Right.
Right.
Or Sue Ann died at the age of 28. Right. You know what I mean? These things happen. People just died of illnesses and viruses and things like that now we don't have to die of. Right?
Yeah. So that's why. That's how. Right.
Exactly.
Social media influencer Andrew Tate has been released from house arrest in Romania.
Oh.
Yeah, agree. A Bucharest court today ruling Tate will be placed under judicial control until his hearing in October and will not be allowed to leave that country. The 36-year-old internet personality who has over 7 million followers on Twitter, or X as it's now called, is awaiting trial on charges of human trafficking, RAPE. I guess, did you know if you say that word on YouTube, you get flagged somehow?
Really?
Yeah.
It's sexual assault?
I think so. Well, it's the R word. We're calling it the R word, as if you can't say it. Oh, weird. You can't say that. I guess it's some type of trigger word or word they don't want you to say.
Maybe that's why I keep getting flagged for stuff, is because I don't know all these
you get a flag rules. Or demonetized or whatever. So human trafficking, the R word, and forming a criminal gang to sexually exploit women.
Remember, if you guys don't know who Andrew Tate is, he's the guy that got busted because he posted a video with the pizza box.
Yeah.
And they tracked him to his house from the pizza box because he's a moron. So,
he is a scumbag of scumbags.
He's so gross.
And kids watch him. There are boys that are in Julia's class that were Andrew Tate fans.
Ew.
Ew is right. I just like
And the boys are our daughter's age.
yeah.
I know so many nice boys.
Yes.
But I feel like, and I'm not trying to lump all boys, but you know how like, the pride of lions, like once you get too many boys together, it devolves into chaos. It's just
Yeah.
there. And I think I mentioned this. There was something going around with my daughter's guy friends at school where they were pretending that one of them died on social media.
What?
So much so that one of my mom friends had to call another mom and be like, did so-and-so die in a car accident? And they're like, what? And the things that boys are exposed to by people like Andrew Tate or all these, jokester guys on YouTube or whatever. You got to know what your kid's watching, man. It's awful.
Yeah. And I think if the parent knew what the kid was watching, they would be mortified.
Well, it's
But
hard.
they don't know because they're not looking.
Well, also you have to also know your own child. Like I feel like my kid, and I'm always blunt with my kids, as you know. I'm like, this is a moron. This is not true. Blah blah. You know what I mean? Like you can't do this. And they always look at me like, obviously, mom, I would never do this. And I go, well, wait, I want to make sure that you know that you're not supposed to do that, because there's some kids that watch and are like, let's try it. No, let's not try it. Please do not become a statistic. Do not make me talk about you in a news segment, right? Like, please do not do this.
Yeah. So I think they should take the internet away from him as part of his criminal issue there.
Well, John writes in, I know a lot of quote unquote nice boys too, like Eddie Haskell. I just want to let you know that Eddie Haskells can grow up to be fabulous human beings. My husband was always a sweetheart, but he always got into all kinds of trouble as a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he was like, lighting the creek on fire kind of kid. So I love my husband, but whenever we talk about Eddie Haskell, I always think about my husband.
My son is delightful, but he has a mischievous streak.
Yeah, that's my husband. Yes.
And he knows also that he does a lot of stuff where he doesn't think and gets himself in trouble. Right. So to counteract it, he showers me with compliments.
Oh, yeah.
You're the best mom. I wouldn't want to have any other mom but you. Kisses and hugs. And I'm like, pal, I know what you're doing. I know exactly where you're headed.
You're doing. Yes, exactly. Gotta love him though. Gotta love him.
Totally. Yes, absolutely. Feels great while it's happening. One lucky person could win the 4th largest jackpot in Mega Millions history.
Gotta buy a ticket. Gotta buy a ticket. Yeah.
Gotta get out of the house and get yourself a taquito. The top prize has risen to $1.25 billion after no one claimed the ticket on Tuesday. The drawing will be streamed live tonight at megamillions.com.
I mean, the thing is, everyone's like, it's such a long shot. I'm like, but somebody wins. That's what gets me. I say it every time, like, somebody has to win.
It's ripe. It's ripe for the picking. Now is the time where it's going to pop.
You say that every week, though. I feel like you've been saying it's ready to pop. It's ready to pop.
I want it to be you that gets the popping. That's what I want.
Yeah, I want it to be you. Can we just share the wealth here? I
like
would
a
love
giant
to win.
zit. It's ready to go.
Basically, so if you win, you get like $500 million. $500 million.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's insane. That's a lot of money.
And I would still do this show. I would come on here and I would give away money.
There would be riches. I would have the fanciest studio.
Who gets the money today?
I would have giveaways.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of giveaways, I'm also, I was telling you, remember, the details are still to be sorted out. We're going to start doing raffles on this show. I've been brainstorming some giveaways for our Medorables and things like that. Yeah. And I'm planning a box full of my favorite things that I've mentioned on the show that I like, and maybe we'll do like a Kim box as well, and we'll figure out those and we might raffle those off. So if we can't win the lotto, we can at least win something that it's probably more common that you're going to win. There you go.
What is the number for how much you can give away so that a person won't have to pay taxes on it? It used to be like $13,500.
Well, their box is going to be way less than that. So
$20,000 for a couple, something.
Yeah.
Like
but the raffle will support the show and all those sorts of things.
Who wants the 13.5 today? That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Lastly, and I know like we may be kind of wearing out thin on the Taylor Swift news, but here it is anyway.
We're never.
Taylor Swift's Eras Tour is projected to earn a record-setting $1 billion.
Yeah.
That would make it the highest grossing concert tour of all time, beating out Elton John's Farewell Yellow Brick Road tour, which
Wow.
CNBC reported earned more than $850 million. Concert data tracker Polestar estimates Swift's Eras tour will bring in $1.4 billion now that the dates have been added in Latin America, Asia, Australia, and Europe through next year. She also, I think, added some more U.S. tour dates.
I'm going. I already put my name into the verified fan pot. I don't know if I'm going to get the code. You have to get the code to buy tickets for face value or to get in there to buy it. So I told you, New Orleans on my birthday next year. So I've already put it in there. We shall see. I'll keep.
Is there a limit to how many tickets you can buy?
I think 4, and I will be buying 4. Don't worry about it. I know my daughter's.
I won't.
I'll be buying 4. I have to see if my daughter will probably want to go again. I'm going to try to get, decent, but I'm not paying insane amount to see her. Like, I'm not getting floor seats or anything like that. So don't worry.
What's the price of like just a general ticket? Not the nosebleed, but just a general ticket.
I was Googling it. I think they said the price, at least in New Orleans, and I think it's based on obviously the venue and how many seats they have. I think I saw it between $89 to probably close to $1,000 per ticket. Wow. So, but if you get it for face value, then you can, probably make your money back, I would say. So,
well, research company Question Pro projects the total spending to be around $5 billion, with even more money spent on resale tickets, hotels, travel arrangements, and outfits. So people are spending money to go see the show.
I'm gonna look like a freaking disco ball is what I'm gonna look like. I swear to God, I'm gonna wear the most sparkly outfit. I'm gonna be in New Orleans, and again, I've been wanting to go back to New Orleans. This just gives me a reason to go back. And since it's my birthday, I totally can justify it, right? I'm like, oh, it's my birthday.
Absolutely.
I can go to New Orleans. I was telling my parents about that yesterday, and they're like, you're going to go to New Orleans just to go to a concert? I'm like, well, and to eat and to have beignets and gumbo, obviously.
Right.
I want to go eat.
I would love to go there.
I went there once before Katrina, and I haven't been back since. And when I went, I was like in my 20s, so we were just getting hammered the whole time, right? I was just drinking. Funny story. Remember we were talking about like hug a tree when my son got lost in the Costco at Hawaii?
Yeah.
My husband and I were dating at the time, and we had gone with one of his friends from work. And so it was 3 of us, and we get to Bourbon Street. Never been there. This is Fat Tuesday. Okay. We went for Mardi Gras. So it's insane. Okay. And when we get dropped off by a taxi, and I look at my husband and I go, okay, so see this light pole with this like newspaper bin. This is our meeting spot if we get separated. 30 seconds. Lost him. I'm not even kidding. And I want to tell you, when I say it's a sea of people, it is a sea of people. And I started getting freaked out. Like I'm alone. And so there's a light post, and I stand on top of the newspaper, the thing they give newspapers out, right? And I'm standing there, and all anyone keeps saying is show me your boobs. And I'm getting so upset because all I want to do is find my boyfriend, right? And I'm like, stop it.
I don't want to show you my boobs.
I don't want to show you my boobs. I keep looking at this sea of people. And I'm like, how am I ever going to find him? And then finally I feel this tug on my pants, and I look down because I'm standing on the bin, and it's my boyfriend and my husband now. Yeah. And he's like, I was waiting at the wrong light post. And I was like,
you idiot.
I was like, but no, I was so relieved. It is. I remember another thing, since you've never been to New Orleans, especially for Mardi Gras, there's nowhere to sit on Bourbon Street because you're just walking back and forth and drinking and everything. And my feet were killing me. So here's a tip. If you ever go, if you want to sit down, there's tons of strip clubs. So you could just go inside, sit down. I mean, you should tip, right? You should have some dollars with you. But I just sat there and had conversations. So many interesting conversations with the women that were dancing, because they knew. I'm like, I'm just sitting here, but I'll pay you. And they're like, absolutely, honey. Knock yourself out. And I just sat there probably for a good half hour. And I was like, I just need to rest my feet. Really, I just need to, and I will pay any amount. And so
why is it that the strip clubs are the place to sit instead of just a regular bar? Or
because they're crowded. I mean, it's packed in there. And so I just needed to sit down and probably get a beverage and not be too crazy. And so,
Yeah.
we did that. It was so much fun. I'm telling you, watching the floats and everything, you need to go to New Orleans. It is
Well,
quite the time.
when are the tickets going on sale? Because we need to coordinate. If I manage to get tickets cheap enough, how fun would it be to go together?
Oh my God, it would be awesome. So
Yeah.
you need to go on Ticketmaster today
Mhm.
before tomorrow. I think tomorrow's the last time you could get it to become a verified fan, which is your best shot because Ticketmaster is an S show, right? But that doesn't guarantee anything. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to get a code.
Yeah.
So then you go in, you go to Ticketmaster, you look up the date you want. So I put the 26th as my first date, and then the 25th is the second date in New Orleans because I ain't going to Florida. Sorry, DeSantis. It's
No.
not freaking happening. And I think, where was it? I think maybe, I don't know where else. I don't remember the other locations. I know Miami, I feel like was one of them, but I want to go to New Orleans. And so you put in your email, your Ticketmaster, and then they say, okay. And then on the 8th, so next week, you'll get a code, possibly. And then
Right.
you
If
use
you're
that.
one of the lucky few, right?
You're one of the lucky few, then you have to get into, and then even if you get the code, that doesn't mean the Ticketmaster is going to get their act together for you to even get a ticket. And then when you get in there, what tickets are going to be? So there's steps, but the first step that you have to do today, Kim, is to go on Ticketmaster and get verified. Okay, so there you go.
This show is crowdfunded, and we are not going to New Orleans without viewers like you.
Exactly. Send us to New Orleans to eat for you. There you go.
That's right. The NikkiMedoroShow.com is where you'll find the Patreon and PayPal links. The Super Chat is live. And the chat is open too, so participate in any way you see fit. We love having you here. I'm Kim McAllister. This is the Nikki Medoro Show.
There you go, Kim. Well, speaking of eating things, so I have my cup of coffee, as I often do on Friday. Friday's my favorite day because I get to eat all the time, right? There's a justification for me to eat all kinds of food. And I have with me a scone. It is a chili cheese scone that I made yesterday. And it is the recipe of the one and only Naomi Rose, the baking boss.
Hey.
Naomi, thank you for
Good
joining
morning.
us all the way from the UK.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the show. Yeah, I emailed you yesterday and I said, I'm about to put my scones in the oven. I have tasted them. They turned out well. We'll get to that in just a minute. But first off, introduce yourself to our viewers and our listeners because you have a very interesting story about, your life path was going one direction and you put it somewhere completely different.
Yeah, absolutely. I went from it goes back to 2018. I was doing a corporate sort of 9-to-5 job. I worked in marketing, digital comms, that kind of thing. And it was a nice job. It was, turned up every day, did my job, went home again. It was fairly easy life, but I was getting bored. I wasn't feeling like I was really achieving. And every Saturday and Sunday, my husband and I used to walk our dog into our local town along a river. So we live on a river and have a coffee. And we thought, oh, wouldn't it be lovely to have a place of our own? And this building came available and we went in and it had some amazing, it's about 100 years old. It had this incredible history that had been buried under the nightclub. It was a former nightclub. It was horrible, but it had all this English Art Deco history. And we're like, this has to live. It has to be restored. So we kind of went, this would make a great cafe and bar. Shall we do it? And it kind of just roller coasted from there. So
let me stop you there. Had you ever run a restaurant, a cafe, owned a business, done anything in this realm?
No, I'd worked in a bar for about 6 months, but
there you go. There's experience.
That was it. And that was about 50 years before that. But no, we just like, well, what's the worst what's the worst that could happen? We could actually, learn something along the way and just go for it. We live once. So
true, very true.
So yeah, we went for it.
And so how'd that go? I mean, so you have this cafe. What was the cafe called?
Elsie May. So it's named after my grandmother because she always wanted to own a tea room and she just loved hosting. In fact, she was an incredible lady. She lived until the age of about 95 and she used to look after the elderly until she was 87. And the only reason she stopped was because she lost her sight. But she continued to bake. She baked. She had scales called Jeeves that talked to her. It was incredible. She was just such an inspirational person that just kind of kept going and looking at the positive side of life. And it felt this place had to be named after her, really.
Oh, and so this was a cafe and a bar. So I'm assuming you kind of had nightlife involved in it as well.
Yeah, we opened up as a cafe and bar originally. So the bar was we thought gins, wines, that kind of thing. And not long after we opened, we realized that everybody wanted cocktails. So it became a cocktail bar. And it also, I'm actually a trained musician. So my background is actually music. So I was really important for us to have like live events and live music. So we used to have live jazz sessions and all this sort of thing. And then obviously we went into the COVID hokey cokey, where we sort of had to open and close a lot. And during that time, I was like, I really want to get back into making bread, because we did cakes and scones. And that was one of the things about the cafe, was we baked everything ourselves. So my team loved baking as well. So it was like our thing. And scones we became really well known for. And I was like, let's give bread a go. So we started baking for the cafe, and we realized that people were really enjoying it. They kept going, where do you get your bread from? I'm like, well, we make it. Well, can we buy it? Well, in our kitchen at the cafe, we had a range oven. We had a home oven. That's what we worked on. We were simple. We had simple setup because we're simple people, and it worked perfectly well for us. So like, well, why do we crowdfund the bakery? And people, the local community can invest, and if they want it, then great. And if they don't want it, they won't invest. So it's like the ultimate marketing campaign, right? Right. And we raised £17,000. We went straight through our target, which was amazing. Yeah. And then we opened the bakery as well. So we're doing sourdoughs, yeasted breads, lots of cruffins, which is like a cross between a cruffin and a croissant and a muffin, rolled in lots of sugar and butter. So, it tastes really, really good. And without my team knowing it, I entered them into Britain's Best Loaf Awards. So we'd only just opened, and I was like, it'll be a nice day out. It's a food event. We'll see other bakeries. We're going to talk about our bread, and we'll find out some stuff. And we won. So it was just absolutely amazing that we kind of gone on this whole journey, and we're like a really small town north of Cambridge, which is about sort of 50 minutes from London or so. And this has sort of all happened. But of course, we all love baking, but straight after that sort of award, where we were on that kind of high, it came down quite quickly because the cost of living crisis just hit us like a brick. Yeah. And here in the UK, our energy costs just went through the roof. Bakeries that were paying sort of £1,500 a month for electricity went to paying nearly £10,000. And you just can't make that bottom line. And despite the best efforts, it just wasn't going to be financially viable. So I had to make. So
you moved it online?
Yeah, so I had to make the really difficult decision to close, which was heartbreaking. And, it was such a hub for so many people in the community, and so many people used to come to us and just knew us because that was our whole premise. We were sort of friendly. But I didn't want to lose everything I'd learned, because there was so much I'd learned. And obviously I did it from scratch, and I didn't know what I was doing. And there are a lot of people out there that sort of doing home bakeries that don't know where to find support to help them, because I never could find it. I couldn't find anyone that was sort of guiding people. So I now kind of help people with baking businesses or getting started into that world, as well as teaching how to bake, because I just love baking. And I also love business. I love running my own business. Yeah, so I kind of combine the two to kind of carry on living my passion. So that's where I kind of got to, really.
Well, I love your website. And so again, it's bakingboss.net. Bakingboss.net is Naomi Rose's website. And so I go on there. And again, I was like, I'm going to make something, which I do for my food segments, Naomi. And so I made this scone. Okay, I'm going to show you some pictures. Okay, so it's going to go up on your screen. My son and I decided to do this yesterday together. Here he is. Now, we're in America. I love that you put the conversions in your recipe, although I still had to do some math because I don't know, like 2.8 something cup of something is. But we tried our best. So here he is, cracking the eggs. Now, here's my dough that you told. So I made my son do all the handwork, right? You're like, Excellent. rub. This is what the directions said. Rub your flour and your butter till it tastes, or it feels like breadcrumbs. I don't know if it felt like breadcrumbs to me. That's what it looked like. That looks pretty good.
It looks kind of breadcrummy, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So then this is my dough. Now, this was my other issue, Naomi. I don't know what I did wrong. And I don't know if it's because I'm in America and you're in the UK. Your recipe called for add a little bit of milk and then you might need a little less or a little more. I needed a lot more milk. And then I felt like I was overworking my dough because I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to be working it this hard. But this is what it looked like. That's
about right.
Like. That looks about right? Okay.
That looks right,
We didn't have a cutter, so we were using that glass right there.
Works perfectly well. Yeah, that's how I roll.
So these are my scones before they went in the oven. Do I have the picture? Hold on. I thought I had a picture. Because you said that the cheese is very, very important. You need a mature, they call it a mature cheese. So it needs to like age for several years. This was the cheese that I got.
Nice. Seriously sharp.
18 months it's aged. And then I topped it, Naomi, not with that cheese, but with a habanero cheddar because I like spicy and I wanted to really taste it. This is what it looks like when it came out.
They look good.
These are hers. Good. These are yours, Naomi. I mean, yours look really fancy schmancy and really, really delicious.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do, right?
I made a few of them.
So these are mine, and then this is mine. And I'll tell you, I already tried some of them. Very good. I mean, they were, I think, a little dense. So here it is. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it. It has some butter on it. I think I might have overworked it though. So do you have any advice for me next time?
Yeah, I mean, just when I say add a little milk at a time, it needs a lot less than you think a lot of the time. And roll your dough a bit thicker because I think if you have it the flatter, they will go a bit more dense when they bake. So here in the UK, ours were about that thick. So we'd roll them out to about that
wow,
thick.
yeah. See, I thought, well, you said in your recipe 2 centimeters, which isn't very thick. Are they supposed to rise? And then I had to make my own self-rising flour because I don't know, here in America, you can't find self-rising flour. Everything's all-purpose flour. So then I had to find a recipe to make I was trying, Naomi. I tried my best. It is really
They've
good.
Come out awesome. They look awesome.
It is yummy. The flavor is there. So now tell me, what did you learn? I mean, I was listening to one of your podcasts and you were talking about reading all of your negative reviews and kind of how it gets in your head. It got in your head so much, Naomi, that you said you crashed your bicycle because you were just so worried and so thinking about it. So, a lot of people are trying new things. Did you have a bit of that imposter syndrome? Like, what the hell do I think I'm doing right now?
Oh, yes, completely. All the way through. I was absolutely terrified of what everyone would think of me all the time to begin with, because, even in my current company, they're like, what are you doing? And they, people come up to you and go, well, I wouldn't do that. That's absolutely mad. So it was very easy to get guided by what everybody else thought. Mm-hmm. And actually, in some ways, having the accident I had where I fell off my bicycle made me realize I needed to stop worrying about what everybody else think and concentrate on my business, because everybody has different issues in their business. Everyone does different things. And I came to learn over time that actually my business complements other businesses in the town. We work as a unit. And once I became to realize that actually we, as a community, we need variety. It's important for certainly a community like ours, which is quite a small community, and to bring our part of that is super important, as well as other people. Without other businesses, we would still struggle with the same things, and we would probably lose customers because less people would come into the town. So it's all kind of relevant. But mindset was definitely a tricky thing to manage. And particularly, I think being going from like the safety net of a corporate job to suddenly then being your own boss. And I love being my own boss now, but I struggled to begin with of having to have that autonomy of making those decisions.
If you don't take the risks, then you never do anything that's going to be, just amazing. And wow, I can't believe she did that. Yeah. Right. So it's those people that are scared that, are saying, what is she doing? Is she mad? They're never going to have that feeling of achieving something and setting that goal that kind of, makes everything worth it.
Yeah, give it a shot. You never know, right? I mean, obviously you want it to work. So what advice do you have for people? I mean, when people come to you and say, I want to start my own food business or online business, I mean, what are some of the main things you tell them that they need to do right off the bat?
So I think planning is sort of the key thing. So, I'm not talking about a long-winded business plan, because that's going to sit on a shelf and get dust. So don't do that. But have some clear goals of what you want to achieve, and also what you want to earn at the end of the day. Because if you can't pay your own wage, then your business isn't going to work, and you're going to end up resenting it. So I think it's good to look at that numbers. What do you want to achieve with your business, and how it's going to fit into your life? And they're the things that I think are really, really important, which I found quite a struggle, certainly towards the end, because obviously it was very much with the cost of living crisis. We're throwing rocks for being thrown at us in a kind of constant chain of events and things. So getting that balance, I think, and understanding what you need for your business, not what someone else needs for their business, but what you need for your business. And then you can work from there and set your own goals and targets and work out how it's going to work for you.
Nice. Now, if people want to reach you, they go to your website, and you will work with them. You'll mentor them. You'll give them advice. You also have a book, correct?
I have some downloadable free guides, so you can kind of how to open your cafe or bakery or home baking business, and one for people that have already a business, but they're kind of struggling to know where to take it to the next step, because it's hard when you're in the midst of it and trying to figure out, well, where do I go next? I'm trying to do everything and I can't see the wood for the trees. So I'm here to kind of help people get clarity on what their next steps are with their business as well. So they're all on my website. You can go and download them. And there's also ways that people can work with me and come and connect with me on socials. I'm on I Am Baking Boss on Facebook and Instagram. So come join me there. And I've got a couple of groups as well. So come and join me in those.
I have a question for you, and this might be such an American question. And if it is, I'm sorry.
She's like, I already prepped myself. I'm talking to Americans. It's fine.
It seems like all of the UK is baking, and everyone there is really good at it.
It's
and
the TV
that's
show,
because of the sensation, the Great British Baking Challenge. And during the pandemic, my family was so into it. My husband has started baking all of our bread. During the pandemic, I was telling Nikki earlier, there was a rotating tray of treats in the kitchen. He was baking madeleines. He was baking, I don't know, name that, whatever treat was on the Great British Baking Show that week, it was in the kitchen. Good and bad, because I mean, I don't need any more help in the eating department. But it just seems like baking is such a big thing. When that show came out, did it inspire you? Did it sweep across your country? And is everybody now baking their own bread and doing their own thing?
I would say it did. I mean, I watch all the cooking shows. One of my favorites is actually MasterChef Australia. If you get it in the
I love
US,
MasterChef. Yes.
It's amazing. Yeah. So I watch, I'm addicted to that one. But I think we go through phases. There are definitely people that want to bake and are still learning, and there are definitely people that just won't bake. But yeah, British Bake Off is, it's a great show here in the UK. So a lot of people do enjoy it, and I believe there's a new series due out soon again. So keep your eyes open for that.
So much fun. It is fun to watch. And the thing that always gets me is, how do people have all of these recipes just in their head that they remember? I'm like, I don't know. Like, they're like, oh, I have my bread recipe, or I have my scone recipe, or whatever.
You want me to make a what? What is it that I'm supposed to make?
I have a spaghetti sauce recipe in my head. That's pretty much the end of it. Everything else I have to follow online. But Naomi, I really appreciate you coming on. Again, Naomi Rose, bakingboss.net. Go check it out. You also have a YouTube channel. So you can go subscribe to that. And she talks about the business and all of the obstacles that she's encountered, gives great advice. Naomi Rose, bakingboss.net. Go check her out. And thank you so much for coming on. We really do appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me. I hope you have a great day.
We will. Thank you so much. Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, isn't she awesome? She's just so adorable.
Oh, I can listen to her talk all day long, too.
I know. I wonder you ever wonder if we just sound like Hicks when people from the UK?
Oh, totally. We sound like oh my God, Valley Girls. Americans. But what a woman with courage and cojones, because she leaves this cush job and goes off on this venture, and now she's got this this following, and she's doing what she's doing, and I just it's always, you got to take a risk. So yeah, I mean, cool.
I don't think I nailed these scones. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't want to say it. They're good once we can swallow it.
Tell the story about your dad.
Okay, so I make these scones, right? And so It's funny. I live even closer to my parents now, but I don't see them as much. So I was like, Dylan, let's go bring grandma and grandpa a couple of these fresh baked scones that I have made. And so I come in, and it's always funny. My dad always laughs because my mom and I are exactly the same. We'll make something and we'll be like, I haven't tried it yet, but you try it. Because I had not even tried my scones yet because I had just eaten dinner. So I was full. And so I give it to him. And I love my dad. But he takes like the biggest bite, and then he cannot swallow it at all. I'm like, no one said it takes such a big bite. He's like, and I had to give him water. I thought the poor man was going to choke to death right in front of me. He said it was okay. They are good, but you need to take small bites because, well, one, again, it's really dense. I think I just totally overworked the dough. I did put that habanero cheese on the top, so I'm eating the top down, so like I can taste that on my tongue first, and it is good. You know what would be really good on it? I put butter on it, but I don't have it. Like a pepper jam, or that jelly, that pepper jelly. That would be probably pretty good. But
sour cream, maybe.
I don't like sour cream.
Blunt
like
the
that.
heat? No. See where I'm
It's
going?
not that spicy. I mean, it has some chili powder, red chili flakes, and then the habanero cheese on top, but it's not that
I'm just
bad.
impressed that you baked. That's all. I'm just impressed.
I love this Friday food segment.
Yeah.
And it was so funny, Kim, because I told myself, I'm like, I'm trying not to eat out, with food and door dashing because I'm trying to save money. The cheese alone cost me $20. Now, I didn't need to buy as much cheese as I did, but we were going to eat it. But yeah, this did not save me money. But I have flour now. I have a rolling pin now. I have things that are going to last longer than just one meal. So I will be baking. I love my Friday food segment.
Wait,
you guys email me if you want me to make something. Huh?
You didn't have a rolling pin until yesterday?
I didn't have. I used to use a wine bottle because I didn't
really need.
Funny. I didn't really need to do it.
So
I'm not a baker. I'm a cooker. I like to cook.
Because of the baking nature of my husband, we have like 4 rolling pins and they're all different. There's a marble rolling pin. There's a rolling pin that's like this and tapered at the ends that's tiny. There's
Why do you need
big fat one. Don't ask me, but all the rolling pins are there. There's a rolling pin that you put ice inside of so it keeps your dough cold.
Ooh.
I'm telling you, it's like rolling pin central. I don't even know where to put them all.
Yeah, John, I mean, when in doubt, use what you have. I have plenty of wine bottles. I have plenty of all kinds of bottles. So yeah,
Hand mommy that wine bottle. Yeah.
I need Well, even Dylan asked me, he's like, why did you buy a rolling pin? I'm like, because I'm supposed to have one to like roll dough. So now we have
one. A kitchen has a rolling pin, right?
Exactly. Well, I really appreciate you guys. Oh, Sam, you are awesome.
Oh,
by the way, Sam, one of our listeners, viewers, went to his restaurant. Sam unfortunately wasn't there, but his wife put him on the phone, which was awesome. Sam,
that's so sweet.
Yeah, new spot on Polk. That's where they went. Because the Town's End is the other restaurant in San Francisco. So go check out Sam's restaurants. He's been on the show. Thank you for the $20 donation to the Super Chat. A small contribution to your New Orleans fund. Yes, if I get tickets, I am going. And then RJ coming through. It's Friday with a $20 donation in our Super Chat. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Let's see. 415 Steve also gave us a super sticker for $5. Thank you. And of course, Harry has been starting us off with a $5 super sticker. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, you guys. We really do appreciate it. It's how we support this show. And just like Naomi, like even though, we come from a broadcast background, we have never done a YouTube show before.
This is our taking a chance and risk, right?
I was just thinking about the fact that it's August, 2 months, and it'll be almost a year that we've been doing this.
We were fired or laid off
October something.
October 6th. And a week later, we started these shows. Was it 2 weeks? Okay.
I think 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks for me. It was still in October, though. I remember it was still in October, but maybe it was like 2 weeks for me. It was like 1 week for Mark. And it's almost a year. I can't believe we've been doing it this long. And obviously there's been changes and obviously I split my time between here and KCBS, but I love this show. I think, and I love doing it with Kim. I mean, we just have too much fun and with all of you. And I don't think, Square, that the orders for my scones are rolling in. If I perfect the recipe though, perhaps. Okay. I guess in the second part of the show after Kim's news, we'll get into the DeSantis debate, or should we get into it now? You want to get into the DeSantis debate right now?
9:52. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's get into it. All right. Yeah. So I'm going to play you this. This is Ron DeSantis. He is on with Sean Hannity, who apparently is going to be the moderator of this debate. And I want you to pay attention to Ron DeSantis's face, because I swear to God, people, if he becomes president, this is the face that we're going to have to look at, with that eating grin and I got a poop smile on it. I just can't stand it. But here we go.
You heard Gavin make the offer. Your answer is?
Absolutely. I'm game. Let's get it done. Just tell me when and where. We'll do it. And here's the thing, Sean. I mean, in one respect, the debate between California and Florida, has already been had, as you suggest. People have been voting on that. They've been voting on it with their feet. They have fled California in record numbers.
Oh, shut up.
Number one state for net in-migration. We have the number one ranked economy, number one now in education, crime rate at a 50-year low. But in another sense,
that's true.
This is the debate for the future of our country, because you have people like Joe Biden. They would love to see the Californication of the United States. Biden may not even be the nominee. You could have Gavin Newsom. You could have Kamala Harris. And I think if we go down that direction, that's going to accelerate American decline. We can't see America decline anymore. We need to reverse American decline.
Oh, shut up. All right. I do not think that Florida is number one in this whole country for education, but I'll Google that. So, okay. Now, again, I want you guys to be fair. I know most of the people that watch my show, including myself, do not like Ron DeSantis. I think that he is everything that's wrong with this country. He is a divider. I don't understand what it means to be to be a Floridian and be part of the LGBTQ community. I don't know what it's like to be a Floridian and be a minority, because he doesn't work for you. He doesn't share your struggles. He doesn't want to make life better for you. I mean, if you are conservative, if you are white, if you are anti-LGBTQ, he is your guy. Okay. But I don't know what it's like to have to live in that state and listen to the nonsense that comes out of that man's mouth. Now, this is my question. Who do you think will win this debate nationally?
So
not here in California.
DeSantis will say what people probably in much of the country want to hear, but Gavin will come armed with facts.
Yes.
And he's smarter. He's smart.
I think
really is a smart guy. I think he's going to clean the carpet with DeSantis. I think DeSantis has no chance at all. Gavin Newsom is smart. He's quick, and he comes armed with facts. And if there's a fact checker sitting there, Gavin comes out on top every time.
Yeah. Well, did you read the letter that Newsom sent for this debate? It's very interesting. Okay, so it says Governor Gavin Newsom has both challenged and agreed to debate Governor DeSantis on multiple occasions. Mm-hmm. He welcomes the discussion on how Democratic policies are delivering real results for the American people. So this is from Newsom, okay? The event will be marketed as a red versus blue debate that is focused on the impact of representation at the state level. Below, you will find our proposed terms for the debate. So again, this is Newsom's proposals for the debate. The debate will include Newsom and DeSantis. There will be no other speakers. The moderator will be Sean Hannity. There will be no other moderators. It'll be 90 minutes debate in studio, aired by Fox News. The debate will be aired live. The participants, the governors, will not use any notes and bring any prepared documents on stage.
Oh, DeSantis is going down.
There will be a pen and paper for each governor to use during the program. So if you want to respond to something, staff will not brief participants once the program has begun. The moderator will ask all the questions, ensure equal time, and ensure that the governors do not interrupt each other during their designated time to speak. A coin toss will determine which governor goes first. Each governor will receive 4 minutes max to speak for their opening. Let's see, the questions. Each governor will take turns. Once a question is asked, the governor will have 90 seconds to answer the question. After this, the opposing candidate has 90 seconds to respond. At the moderator's discretion, the discussion of the question may be extended by 30 seconds per candidate. There'll be colored lights, obviously, to let people know. Then the closing argument will be 2 minutes. Now, here, there'll be no live audience either, which I love, because that can really change the dynamic when people are clapping and cheering and crap like that, right? These are the locations that Governor Newsom has offered up. So this is why I'm saying this guy wants to do bad. He's trying to be as fair as possible. Nevada. He says Nevada has consistently served as a battleground state for local to state to federal level elections. The state most recently flipped to a Republican governor while maintaining Democratic control in its state legislature, making it an interesting location for the debate. The second choice, Georgia. Georgia has been a Republican trifecta on the state level, but has most recently been trending toward Democratic leadership on the federal level. While President Biden won Georgia in 2022, he became the first Democratic presidential candidate to carry the state since Bill Clinton. After 1960, only 3 Democrats to carry Georgia in a presidential election have been Biden, Clinton, and Jimmy Carter. Georgia is a true purple state that will represent both parties effectively. And then the last choice, North Carolina, a key purple state that will serve as an ideal location for these debates. North Carolina will be home to one of the most closely watched gubernatorial races of 2024. The state has a Democratic triplex and a divided trifecta. And so the debate could be, mark your calendars, either Wednesday, November 8th, or Friday, November 10th. So it's happening, people. Who's gonna win?
It might even the playing field a little bit that Hannity is the moderator. But look at what Newsom's doing. Okay.
No arguments.
He's gonna put himself up against, granted, I mean, really DeSantis is no challenge for him. That's a no-brainer.
I don't think so, but yeah.
But he's going up in a likely conservative place with a very conservative audience there. So if any questions,
no audience though, just Hannity.
Oh, no audience. Okay,
no audience,
okay,
but
so
it's on Fox News.
So it's on Fox, and so maybe it evens the playing field a little bit for DeSantis if Hannity is the moderator. I feel like, though, Gavin Newsom is putting himself on the national stage a lot. And I just read a story yesterday, I think I reported it as well, about how maybe I didn't report it, but how he's raising money and fundraising is a way in which political candidates for president raise money.
Yes.
And that because he is taking on people like DeSantis and in a very public way, putting himself on the national stage and getting a lot of attention for doing so, it's shown Kamala Harris that she needs to step out and take on these people in other states, and do the same thing. So I think he's having an effect on how, even if he's not, and he said he won't run for president this time, even if he's not part of it, how it will be run. I think he's really kind of laying the groundwork for how Democrats can step up.
I mean, I'm thinking 2028, right? I mean, because now again, if Biden wins, because he's the candidate, right? The Democratic, he's only gonna have one more term. So then it's a free for all in 2028. Could Newsom do it? This is what I maintain. I like Governor Newsom. And this is why I'm asking the question this way. I don't know. I'm going to say this. I don't know if he can win nationally. I don't know if the United States wants Newsom, if that makes sense. I like Newsom running our state, even though there's definitely some negatives to that. And he's failed in many instances. I'm not saying he's perfect, but I do think that he supports what I like and the rights and the freedoms that I want as a Californian and as an American. Does the rest of the country want this? Is he going to resonate with the rest of the country? Or is Ron DeSantis going to resonate with the rest of the country? And damn it, if Fox News is getting a win by being able to host this freaking debate.
Yeah, he's giving Fox News money. That's the only thing is why are you contributing to the success of Fox News?
But I feel like it's to stop the critics, right? Oh, of course it's on MSNBC, or of course you have an MSNBC or a CNN moderator. No, it's your people on your channel, and I'm going to kick this guy's ass. That's what Newsom's probably thinking,
and
right?
At the very least, the people that watch Fox News will hear a different viewpoint. And we'll hear different arguments being made.
Oh, that is very smart. That's a very good point. Like, let me reach the people that need to be reached.
Right.
Although, I mean, they'll just go to OWN or Newsmax or some other wackadoo freaking channel that just feeds their nonsense. And
I don't think, I mean, maybe I'm just California sitting here in my little fancy little bubble with my, Pinot Noir. I feel, and my Scone. I feel like, that I don't know. I just feel like most of the country doesn't want school curriculum that says slaves got something out of it, learned a skill. I feel like most Americans are reasonable people and wouldn't accept that type of speak, that racism, as there's more people that are not like that than are. That's what I want to think.
Well, okay, this is what I'll say to that. I think that when you take it issue by issue, I think so. But what I think that the far right, DeSantis and people like him are really good at is putting the fear of this unknown into people's minds. And so they're like, well, no, because then what's going to happen to my child? And any sort of negative that happens has to be the Democratic Party's fault. And so it's fear. If fear is such a powerful motivator, you would think that, the economy doing better than people thought it was going to. All these sorts of headlines would be like, okay, it's not as bad as we thought it was going to be under Biden. But no, you can put fear into people that they will ignore the good and just latch onto this imaginary boogeyman. And when you scratch the surface of some of these things, like with the LGBTQ community or drag queen story hour, all these things, when you ask people, and I've said this before, when did you start being quote unquote afraid of these things? When did you start caring about these things? It's because the talking points from people like DeSantis and all these others started. They're creating a fear in you that is dividing us. And that is what is so disappointing. And we have to fight against that. But, I don't know. I think DeSantis and his stupid mug is going to flail with Newsom, but you never know. He's not. I'll say this. I think DeSantis is an idiot, but I don't think he's a complete idiot, right? He's gotten as far as he's gotten for a reason. And so I do think he resonates with some people. So don't underestimate people you think are morons, because honestly, morons ended up in the White House. So, let's just keep it all together and watch it, but it's going to be entertaining. So November 8th or 10th is when the debate is going to be. And I don't know about you, but I can't wait. Okay, we got a ton of stuff to talk about. We'll read more of your comments after Kim's news. I do want to touch a little bit on homelessness, both here in my hometown of San Jose and in Texas, where a court ruled on whether it is a crime to feed the hungry, which I just... it's just these countering values that we just see.
Well, if you give them food, they'll stick around.
It's just insane.
It's
so
like
anyways,
you don't feed the animals that come up to your porch, right? That's how we're treating people now?
Pretty much. All right. Click that thumbs up button to show your support of the show. I love it. YouTube loves it. Kim loves it. We all love it. And we'll talk about all that and more. Plus movies with Tim Sika is coming up after Kim's news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Good morning to you. Let's start out with the Trump supporters, or not. Nearly half of Republicans in a new poll say they would not vote for Donald Trump if he is convicted of a felony. The Reuters Ipsos poll found 45% of Republicans would not vote for Trump if he is convicted, while 35% say they would still cast their ballot for the former president.
So you throw your vote away. Well, he could still be president, I guess.
Well, yeah. Trump on Thursday pleaded not guilty to criminal charges over his alleged efforts to stay in power after he lost the 2020 election. So, but that's kind of encouraging, at least, that 45% say if he's convicted of a felony that they wouldn't vote for him.
What's interesting is, like, usually when politicians, and I know that Trump's not a politician, he never really has been. When politicians get in trouble, they're like, for the good of the country, I'm going to take this distraction away. I'm going to deal with my court problems, my legal issues, and I'm going to let somebody else that's qualified to run. I'm throwing my support behind so-and-so. But Trump is hiding behind running to call this a political witch hunt, which it's not. It's not Biden that's going after him. It's the Department of Justice and Jack Smith. And it's just it's ridiculous. And it's so obvious. But people want to make a ton of excuses for this guy for some godforsaken reason.
Yeah, I'm struck by, for the good of the country. Well, we know that the good of Trump is more important than the good of the country in his mind, right?
Yeah.
So. Okay, let's move to the Gilgo Beach story. Here's Rex.
Scary dude.
It's very scary dude. Rex Howerman is his name. New York police identifying another Gilgo Beach murder victim.
Wow.
Speaking to reporters, authorities and said remains of Karen Vergata were found in 1996 and again in 2011. So her body had been spread out. This comes after Rex Howerman was charged with the murder of 3 victims in the Gilgo Beach area with a G and is suspected of killing a 4th. Oh. Tennessee Representatives Justin Jones and Justin Pearson are back in office. The Republican-dominated state house expelled these 2 Democrats back in April after they took part in a protest on the House floor in favor of stronger gun laws following a mass shooting that killed 6 people at a Christian school. Well, the 2 were reinstated by local officials on an interim basis, but they had to win last night's special election to permanently get their seats back. They won. They permanently have their seats back.
Yay!
So
That is
there.
so good to hear. That is so good to hear.
A little good news in there for a change, right?
All right, exactly.
Yeah. The robocall, it's funny. The FCC is cracking down on a gigantic illegal robocall operation that made billions of auto warranty scam calls. Federal regulators are slapping a record $300 million fine on the scheme's operators. Authorities say it's the largest network that they have investigated yet. Good.
Right.
Book them. Fine them. Whatever you have to do.
Book them, Dano. Yes.
Make them stop calling me. Thank you very much. City leaders in San Francisco being called on the carpet over increasing public safety issues in a San Francisco neighborhood. During a public safety meeting yesterday, numerous residents demanded to know what the police and city leaders can do about rising crime in the Tenderloin area. Residents are concerned about a rise in crime, open drug use, and homelessness in the area. District Attorney Brooke Jenkins told attendees her office has been working hard to get drug peddlers off the streets. Police Chief Bill Scott added that officers are arresting hundreds of people for drug use in public. That is something that didn't happen last year. And of course, Governor Gavin Newsom sent in the CHP, I think possibly the National Guard as well, to help make arrests. And there have been many more arrests made. So, but still, I guess a lot to be done in the Tenderloin. Let's go to San Pablo. Interesting situation there yesterday. A handful of San Pablo residents still out of their homes today because of a hazmat situation. Authorities say 5 homes are still under evacuation orders. The hope is families in those homes can return later this morning. A large chunk of homes in the area of Stanton Avenue had to be evacuated Wednesday because hundreds of chemicals were found inside of a home and a shed in that area. The home and the shed have been shut down for the time being. They've got to collect all these chemicals and get them out of there. Crazy. In San Jose, down in your neck of the woods, Nikki, firefighters are trying to get a handle on this big old brush fire in the San Jose area. The fire broke out yesterday afternoon, quickly churned through about 60 acres of land. This is in the city's eastern foothills.
Yeah, there's a lot of nice homes in those hills, too.
Yeah. Cal Fire and San Jose firefighters worked together. They managed to stop the forward progress of this fire by overnight hours. Still not out, though, but the forward progress stopped. No injuries reported, no structures burned, thankfully. Some people did have to leave their homes for a short time. The cause of this fire under investigation. But here we go with the wildfire season. And it's scary. You see that the dry grass and the trees and, kind of open areas. This is why when I look at homes that are for sale and used to be, oh, look at, there's nobody around. And look, you can't even see your neighbors. And look at all that. And and now you look at it in a whole different way, right? Oh, there's a fire waiting to happen. Lastly, here's a little picture of this guy. He's a little otter. You think that, right? You think, oh, he's so cute.
He's so cute.
Wait. Well, hold up. Wait a minute. 3 Montana women are recovering following a rare attack by an otter.
Oh, no.
Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks say the trio was floating on inner tubes down the Jefferson River this week when at least one of these animals attacked. One of the women had to be life-flighted to a hospital once they got her out of the water. An information ranger for the Fish and Wildlife Protection District says it's important to give otters space in the wild, but you should fight back and get out of the water if you're attacked. Okay, so here, let me tell you the story.
Why do you have to tell me to fight back? I would obviously be fighting back, but okay, go ahead.
My sister was a reporter for a time in Redding. She started in Redding, went to San Francisco, and eventually ended up at ABC in San Francisco. But one of her first stories was in Redding, where this little girl was in a waterway. I think it was some type of a lake in Redding, and a river otter attacked her and left her with like 80 cuts and
Wow.
lacerations all over her body. So here's the thing. They say if you get into a mother otter's territory, she will be very territorial if she's trying to protect her young. So if you have the misfortune, because otters are cute and fun and whatnot, but if it's a mother otter protecting her young and you encroach into her space,
Heck yeah.
she'll fight back, which is something I completely understand, mother otter.
Exactly.
I get it. But if you see an otter, like you think, oh, so cute. No. It's
Right.
wildlife. Stay away from the wild animal. Get as far away from you can as quickly as you can, because otters are going to fight you. They're going to fight you for their space.
I love Heather. She's like, death by otter, worth it if I get a pet one. It's like, let me love you. Just let me love you. No, Heather. Don't do that.
This otter report is sponsored by you.
Oh, yes,
yes,
it
we're
is.
crowdfunded. TheNikkiMedoroShow.com. That's where the Patreon and PayPal link is. The Super Chat is live. And thank you for all the ways you participate in this show. We love you. I'm Kim McAllister. It is The Nikki Medoro Show.
It's so funny. So as you're doing your news, I'm getting comments, right? I'm getting comments from my mom and my dad. So my dad, he's a total right winger. So he's like bitching about the national debt, which love you, Dad. And then my mom, who I love, she had an update on the scone. Tried your scones again. I even heated it up a little and put some apricot jam on it. They're a little too dry and dense. Maybe you should ask your guest how to make them a little moister. Love you. Have a great day.
She did tell us.
Mom.
She
did.
said
I
it's
overworked
less
it.
milk. Yeah. She said less milk because the more milk makes the thing more dense.
Yeah, and that it should be thicker. I think I rolled it too hard, right? So I was probably making it myself too dense. But I love you, Mom, for trying it. They're good. Yeah. And what was funny is we had a lot of leftover dough. And I looked at my son and I was like, so we had, I don't know, 3, 6, 9, 10. I think we had 11 scones. And I was like, should we save the dough and make another batch? And he's like, no, I don't think so. I was like, okay. There was a lot of promise to begin with. But anyways, all right. I tried. It is me trying for you because I love you all. And it's Friday. Fabulous food. Love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the homeless. Okay. So San Jose passed an ordinance, and it's something that I think if you have children who walk to school, you would very much support. I'm going to play you a little bit of this news report from KTVU. I'll just play a little bit so you get an idea. But basically, what was a recommendation is now law. So here is a news report from KTVU.
So we've got to create safe places, but people have to take advantage as well. We cannot have a free-for-all on our streets.
Talking above a nonstop car alarm that seemed to target the proceedings, Thursday, San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan and others unveiling a plan to ban unhoused encampments within 150 feet of all public and private schools and daycares.
As we strive to address a serious public safety concern affecting various schools within the city of San Jose.
I have to ensure that I'm focusing on my surroundings at all times.
High school senior Fernanda Morales Soto says an unhoused resident followed her home from school one day. The principal at KIPP San Jose Collegiate High School says there's been a slew of incidents associated with the 13 RVs permanently parked just off school grounds,
including incidents of those unhoused residents making their way onto campus during the school day and break-ins captured on our security cameras.
So let's just stop it right there. Also, because that alarm sounds very annoying. So basically, the homeless people are parked right next to the school. So that would be within the 150 feet. 150 feet is not very far, in my opinion. I mean, you have to be really, really close. Do you think that if you're 200 feet away, it's going to make any sort of difference for the safety of these kids? I don't think so. I feel like it should be farther away. But I also understand that people need a place to live and sleep. And if you don't have any options for them, that's tough. Now, again, as we've been seeing, not just here in California, but across the country, these rules and these lawsuits that have to do with the fact that you can't make people move on if you don't have anywhere for them to go, right? If
I don't want my kids in the middle of all of it. I don't want my kids in the middle of the makeshift RV homeless encampment or the tent
neither do
city.
I. I don't
want my
either.
kids there. I mean, I understand you need a place to be, but don't put yourself by a school or a park. Kids need to have a safe place to be and play. And they don't need to, what are all these people living here? They don't need that. Let's let the kids have their space.
So how far? I mean, is it 1,000 feet? Isn't it the sex offender has to be 1,000 feet? And I'm not saying that homeless people are sex offenders. I'm just saying,
Right.
I'm trying to compare those
Yeah.
ordinances that have to deal with distance. I think it's 1,000 feet, which really restricts because a lot of schools and daycares are near each other, right? I mean, you have the elementary school near the middle school, near the high school, and then you include daycares. I'm wondering if this is more of now there's no place to go, right? I still don't think 150 feet is that far. So what? I think I was trying to imagine it. I would say a yard is 70 feet, maybe 50 to 70 feet. So let's just say what? 3 or 4 houses down? Is that far enough?
No.
That's my way of thinking. I'm like, that doesn't, it seems like it's across the street instead of on the same side of the street. That's how I see it.
People are wandering. Don't get so close to my kids. I'm sorry, but I have to put them first. Kids will always come first.
Yes.
Nope.
They do come first, but also we need to realize that these are human beings and they need somewhere to go. Now, our mayor, Matt Mahan, is really trying to work on bumping up the temporary housing and all those services. We'll see. I love, this is very true. Perry Joe, libs are NIMBYs also, but not voiced in public. No, I think that there are libs that are definitely, they voice it in public as well. I want it, just not here. They say it all the time. I remember at my old place, I told you we had a homeless encampment pretty much right behind our back fence. And there was a fire one time. It was really, really scary. I did not want it there. I wanted them to get services so they don't have to live in a dirty ass creek behind my house.
Yeah, right.
That's what I want. I want the services to be there. I want people to step up. So John says the distance requirement is usually 2,000 to 2,640 feet. I'm assuming you mean for sex offenders. Yeah. So, okay. That's better than 150 feet. That's all I'm saying. I'm just 150 feet seems like it's not going to make much of a difference when we're talking about where people are parking their RVs and where they're really congregating. We just need to find a place for these people to go that's safe. I was talking about the Santa Clara County Fair here in my hometown. It's going on this weekend. I think is the last weekend. It's huge. It's the biggest one that they've had since COVID. A lot of people have mentioned the fairgrounds or different types of fairgrounds for temporary housing for homeless people. They have facilities. They have the space. Some people are saying, but we want to use it for X, Y, and Z. Remember we were talking about Alaska. And he's like, we don't want to use our entertainment stadium for that. We want to use it for entertainment, concerts, things that bring in money to, our local coffers. Homeless people are going to get shipped to California and Seattle and warmer places, which I don't think is fair also. And then there's this story out of Texas. And I guess this one, I just kind of went under my radar, but I didn't realize that people were being ticketed for feeding the hungry. This is where it's gotten in 2023. So a volunteer, and there was a number of them that had been cited, was cited for feeding the homeless in Texas. Here's a little report on that.
All we want to do is to serve people a hot meal.
This is downtown Houston.
McKinney and Smith Street in downtown Houston, homeless people line up for a hot meal thanks to the group Food Not Bums.
We've got families that come out with children to come out and eat, and we serve them as well.
But close to 45 volunteers from the group received tickets from Houston police back in March for distributing food outside the library. It's an ordinance that's been in place since 2012. Paul Pacone, an active volunteer, went to court earlier this week, and a jury found him not guilty for violating city law for feeding the homeless outside the library.
I think it was a very portentous victory. I also want to maybe even preclude that by saying that when there's unity, there's always victory.
Paul Kubash served as a trial lawyer and says Pacone exercised his right to feed people in need.
This law that the city has passed is absurd. It criminalizes the Samaritan for giving.
Civil rights attorney Randall Callanan says no crimes were committed.
Only the people who are conducting or sponsoring this event are supposed to be given tickets. But people who are just helping out are being given tickets. So they don't even care if they fit into the law or not.
We reached out to the city, who said in a statement, the city of Houston intends to vigorously pursue violations of its ordinance relating to feeding of the homeless. It is a health and safety issue for the protection of Houston's residents. There have been complaints and incidents regarding the congregation of homeless around the library, even during off hours. The city offered food, not bombs, to serve at 61 Reisner Street, but volunteers opposed.
We don't need to be in a place where we can see jail cells and barbed wire. A lot of the people we share food with aren't comfortable bringing themselves there, where they may be picked out and given special treatment by the police who are around.
So, it's like, okay, you can't be in front of this library, which probably is in a nicer part of town, as that guy was mentioning. Go over here, which it sounds like near possibly the jail or the police department. The reason why I wanted to talk about this is where we are right now. This is how frustrated people are with the homeless situation, right? That their compassion, it seems to be melting away. And it's sad. I mean, these people are literally feeding the hungry. Literally. I mean, and you want to call yourself, a Christian, like what Jesus did. You're like, nah, it's a health and safety violation. I don't want to see these homeless people around here. I don't want to see homeless people either. Full disclosure. I don't like it either. I don't like pulling up to a traffic light and having someone begging for money. I don't like walking down the street and seeing passed out people on the sidewalk. I don't like it either.
Mm-hmm.
But we do. So I forget who just had it. We do need to fix the problem. Yeah, Wes said it. Arguing about where they can be shouldn't be happening. It should be, how do we fix it?
Yeah.
It's not let's push it away. These are people. They're not garbage. Remember when
Wes is not wrong.
Remember we were looking about recycling and they're like, there is no away when you throw something away. There is no away. There is no away for human beings either. They're not trash. Okay. Yeah. We need to figure out as a society, as a community, how to make it so people can survive. Because as you move people to quote unquote cheaper areas, those areas become even more expensive because there's more people living there. I love it. Going back to the DeSantis-Newsom debate. No, DeSantis, everyone wants to move to Florida. Okay, good luck. Good luck in Florida and in some towns where people move, where the cost of housing, which you're already hearing, is going up. Wages, of course, are not. Now insurance companies are bailing, just like they are in California. We have the wildfires. They have the hurricanes. It's a confluence of problems that need to be dealt with, and you can't just ignore it and blame it on California all the time. You're going to have to deal with it.
There was a stretch of time where homeless people were dying in Petaluma. It was a cold winter, and every couple weeks, someone else was found dead for whatever reason, exposure or a crime or what have you. And I want to say there was like 4 or 5 deaths, and it seemed like a lot at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was interviewing a Petaluma police officer about why the increase in incidents with homeless people is not surviving. And he said, well, we have this center in town called the Mary Isaac Center, and they provide services, and it's a shelter, and you can go there and get clothes and food and other things. And it's out, they have outreach and they'll help you find a job. It's just like this big, like all in one stop, right?
Right.
It's great. But he said when that center came to town, so did all of the homeless people in Sonoma County following where the services are, right?
Of course.
So that then you get a bigger homeless population in your community because that's where the services are being offered. And then you see more incidents of death, more incidents of crime, and all these other things.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that in their community. So I understand why that's why people would say, well, don't feed them. We don't want them to stay. Don't bring the Mary Isaac Center here. We don't want a worse problem than we had before.
But how does that sound?
Yeah.
That sounds terrible.
Awful. It sounds insensitive and inhumane, and it sounds like someone who doesn't care. But saying that I understand that, and I understand that it will bring more homeless people here, and that's not the goal, is to bring them all into one city. doesn't mean that I don't have compassion and I don't think something needs to be done and that I want them all out. I don't want them all out. I want them all to get help. So I'm glad that they're here getting help. Do I feel like now that they've, converged on one city with a small police department, it's not a big town.
Right.
Is that great for the people that live here? It isn't. So there has to be some balance as we try to help people. I don't
Yeah.
know.
You have to go also where the homeless are, right? In San Francisco, the Tenderloin gets a lot of attention because it just seems like it's a free for all many times with the drug use and the homelessness and the policing and things like that. On the other hand, and this is just an anecdotal outsider's look, it's also where you can find most of them. Not most of them, but a lot of them. So if you were going to give services, if you were going to set up something like, what was it, Mary Ellis or whatever center, you do it where they are. You don't do it in this far off place. So if you have homeless people congregating in a certain area, if you have people that are drug addicted in a certain area, that's where you set up the services, because it's not like they're going to hop a bus, get in a car and make any sort of effort. They barely have the effort to obviously wipe their own butt sometimes and do those sorts of things. So
this is
you
a
have to go
picture
where
of the
they are.
Tenderloin and the street camping and the Tenderloin. Having compassion for the homeless, knowing you want them to get help, knowing you want people to be able to have a meal, to have health care, to be safe, do you feel like this should be allowed on a city street in San Francisco or anywhere else?
Well, it's not if you have a place for them to go. That's why I was mentioning that law that's been the lawsuits that have held up or been overturned, because the courts say and have said repeatedly, you cannot take down someone's encampment and tell them they can't camp there if you have no place for them to go. And so but then the city of San Francisco has been coming out just to, obviously they're one of the poster childs for this problem. And they've said, we want these people to move. We have a place and they refuse to go. In that instance, now you're committing a crime. Now but then what do? You can't hold them in jail forever. So you throw them in jail, you give them a shower and maybe a hot meal. You send them right back out on the streets. So we have to figure out, some sort of system where they have to move indoors and they can't be released unless they are in their right mind and have a job and somewhere to go. But what is the option? Arresting these people? How long are you going to keep them in jail for? The rest of their life? I don't want to pay for that as a taxpayer. No way. So no, I don't think but we're way past that now. Like we cannot pull this back now. We never built enough housing. We haven't got income inequality under control. Wages are stagnant. The federal, not California, but the federal minimum wage hasn't been up since, I think it's still $7.25 or some BS.
Yeah.
Like, it is ridiculous. The wealth inequality and the excuses that the upper middle class to the wealthy make on why people are poor. People are poor because things cost too much and people's wages don't make enough. And then we don't have drug services. We don't have mental health services. So drug addicted, mentally ill people are also combining with this problem. I mean, so we've screwed ourselves by not taking proactive choices years ago.
Yeah.
And it's going to take years, if not a generation, to fix it.
You have people that are teetering on the edge of homelessness.
Mhm.
Their rent has gone up. I can think of some people in the chat, lovely people that, their rents have gone up. They're maybe had a health issue. They are struggling to keep things afloat. These are the people that I want to help.
Yeah.
These are the people where you can jump in right now and say, all right, listen, what do you need to stay in your place? How can we make it, and that's the minimal expenditure, right? Let me get to you before you need all of these services. Let me get to you while, you're a couple $100 short of rent a month.
Exactly.
Let me get to you where we can actually do something
Where
and
it's
not
cheaper
spend a
to
ton
help
of
you.
money. We
Exactly.
can help you. We can help you stay in your place. You never have to experience the trauma of being out on the street. There are people that go to bed worried that they're going to end up in one of those tent encampments. Those are the people that I feel like we can really jump in and make a difference now.
Yeah. And again, that universal basic income. I know some people are like, oh my God, it's welfare. Until you're ready to take away tax breaks from the wealthy who don't need it, I don't want to talk about welfare for the poor. Okay. So just stop. But two, it's that universal basic income, $500 a month, it's not making anyone rich, but it's doing exactly what Kim said. It's just like, oh my God, thank God I have that $500 because that car breakdown cost me, or I was a little short this month on my job.
Yep.
Whatever it is, that so that we don't end up having that person fall into homelessness, which increases the likelihood that you become addicted to drugs. It just does. Nobody wants to live on the streets sober. I'm not saying every homeless person is drug addicted, but I sure as hell believe that if I had to live on the streets, I would probably be at least drinking a lot, right? I mean, you're cold, you're scared, you're miserable, you're depressed, you're living on the friggin' streets. It's hard. And so it's, Brian writes in, he says, some with billions in the bank and others living in tents, starving.
Yeah.
Our grandchildren will look back at these days in the same way we look at slavery today. I cry from this. Between homelessness, income inequality, and what we do to the environment and the planet, I do too, Brian. I do too.
Yep.
And maybe that makes me the bleeding heart liberal that the people are like, oh, give me a break. You're not seeing far enough down the road. You're not seeing far enough down to the consequences of the actions that we're taking right now, or the inaction that we're taking right now, because we're so freaking divided that we're criminalizing people feeding the hungry right now. I mean, that is how insane it is right now. And it's sad. It's really sad. And, it's a little heavy for a Friday. I apologize, but I just couldn't believe it when I saw that. I couldn't believe it. It was boggling my mind that was even happening. Like, you're writing me a ticket for feeding people. Like, it's insane. It's absolutely
it's mean-spirited, but we have to lighten this bad boy up.
Yeah, we do. And what do we like to do on Friday besides choke down a very dry, dense scone, which, it smells good. I'm not trying to not. And again, it's me. It's not Naomi. If you missed our Friday food segment, you'll have to go back. I'll pull it. I'll pull the interview as well and put it on YouTube. Naomi Rose, best name in baking, I would say. Bakingboss.net. She has this recipe. She teaches people how to start an online food business. She gives you advice, and she has a bunch of recipes. And I tried the scone. My mother tried it for a second time today. I think the flavor's there, Kim. I'm going to say this. I think the flavor's there. The texture.
Maybe if you soak it in honey, it'll be less.
Put it in a glass of milk and drink it.
Maybe it'll be less crumbly and dry in your mouth.
It's not even crumbly. It is so. I'm going to show you.
It's just dense. Yeah.
There should be more air bubbles. You know what I mean?
There should be. Yeah.
So I think I rolled it. That even looks like I rolled it too. Like, we were rolling the crap out of it.
I don't even care how dry it is. The fact that you baked and that you tried, I'm super impressed by that. I'm giving you huge props. I love it.
I'll take it.
Good.
I'll take it. All right. Well, you know what? Let's have some fun. I can't even talk because I'm trying to choke down my stupid stone. All right. Let's do something what we love to do on Fridays, which is to talk to our friend Tim Sika, who joins us. Good morning, my friend. Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. Yeah, it feels good to be doing this early.
I know. Yeah. Right now I can figure out what I'm going to watch and stream. But before we get into any of your reviews, I watched
we have
Barbie.
News?
No.
You did. What did you think?
I disagree with you, my friend. I do not think that they threw everything in the kitchen sink in this movie. I totally followed along. I got weepy at points, especially with America Ferrera's kind of speech. I got it. I dug it. I really, really did. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, that's what a lot of the women are telling me. I've got, just from the review on your show, I've gotten a number of Instagram messages and private messages on Facebook saying, boy, what movie did you see? You didn't get it. And I didn't. Obviously, I didn't. Some movies I get, some I don't. It's kudos to you for appreciating what they did with that movie. They might as well have been speaking Greek. I love that scene with America Ferrera.
Yes.
I think that's the best scene, and I completely agreed with every word of it. But to me, it seemed like it came from a different movie. It's like, why is this getting like so? I mean, that seemed like to me the idea for the movie, and then they just went bonkers trying to make it palatable by making this screwy kind of comedy. I don't know. Obviously, I didn't get it. I knew you were going to like it. I had a feeling if I had to bet, I would say, yeah, Nikki's going to get on my case today about Barbie.
No, I mean, I will tell you this. I'm going to make an admission though to you as well. I also understand men that didn't like it. And I'm not lumping you in with those men like, like Charlie Kirk people, the patriarchy talk. And
Right.
while I was watching, I was like, this is what they're upset about. But to me,
Could be.
that was a selling point to me because it was telling me they didn't like the script being flipped. Does that make sense? Oh, it makes you uncomfortable that Ken isn't the star of the show, that he's just an accessory, that he's not her. Oh, it makes you feel bad. Oh, now you might get it, right?
Yeah, but see, none of it made me feel bad or uncomfortable. I just thought it was a mess. Just in terms of,
I love it that we disagree.
Yeah, just in terms of a movie, it was tonally off. Somebody told me, somebody said that they. I can't remember the phrase. It was like, somebody that said Greta Gerwig lets the chaos reign.
Ooh.
Right? That's kind of what I thought of the movie. I think it's a wonderful movie that's making people think about things and talk about things. A friend of mine said she took her daughter to see it, and her daughter asked her, "Mom, what is the patriarchy?" And her mom was able to use that as a teachable moment. No, the movie's obviously doing a lot of great things, even I think for the culture. So, all the more power to it. I still didn't think it was a good movie. And I do think that you can like movies, but they don't have to necessarily be good movies. And I'd love to I'd love to do a TED Talk about why I think it's a bad movie, but also put that in context of, obviously it's reaching people and it's making an impact and it's making a positive impact. So I don't want to rain on that parade. I really don't.
Good. All right. Well, let me throw one more thing before we get to the movies that you did see, because it was released last weekend. You weren't able to see it. Did you see Haunted Mansion? Because that was the double feature I did.
I know you did. Yeah, no, and I didn't. And I'm kind of glad because all of my critic friends said you dodged a bullet. What did you think?
We are so different today. I liked it. I didn't think it was like award winning. It was way better than the Eddie Murphy one. But I thought it was fun. I thought it was clever. It had so many people, like big name actors in it.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun.
A friend of mine said
it was crazy scene.
From the trailer, a friend of mine said, it was just one of those movies that he was like watching and realizing he wasn't even taking it in. He was just like staring at the screen. And really, from somebody that sees a lot of movies, I know exactly what that feeling is. And I have a feeling I probably would have reacted the same way. Okay. I mean, what can I say?
All right. Well, that's fine. So I give Barbie and Haunted Mansion 2 thumbs up. Tim disagrees with me. It's fine. He's the critic. He's the professional. I'm just
whatever.
Watching way too much TV. Okay. So let's go into the movies that you did see. Let's start with this one, which I don't know. Is this a sequel? I think it is.
Meg.
Meg. What the picture that is.
I know. Look at that.
Yeah, that kind of epitomizes the movie. Yeah, it's a sequel to 2018's The Meg. And it's basically, it's just an extension of that movie. It's based on the 1999 novel called The Trench by Steve Alton. Apparently the second in a series of Meg novels. I can't imagine. Anyway, Jason Statham is in this, who, in my opinion,
I love him. I love him.
Yeah, I think he's great too. I think he has no equal in the current field of movie screen action heroes. I mean, he's just great. He's great. He's a great movie actor, and he returns as this guy. His name's Jonas Taylor. He's a diver who specializes in deep sea search and rescue. And basically the sequel, like I said, it's more of the same, where he and a group of scientists and in the third act, a bunch of regular people on land have to kind of outsmart and outswim the megalodons, who seem particularly hungry this time around. And the plot also has something to do with an underwater mining operation and corporate destruction of our ecosystem, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I barely remember the first one. This one's even more forgettable. And you know what? They really, with sequels, they try to do a one-upsmanship. They try to make a better movie generally, and they do that with this movie. The problem is, it's just dull. You think with all the spectacle and all the people getting munched on and chomped on and ripped apart, that it would be at least be kind of thrilling. And you're watching this movie, at least me, and it's not even one of those so bad it's enjoyable movies. It's just kind of dull and blah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, and it also feels too long. It's just under 2 hours, you know.
Interesting.
Is Meg supposed to be a shark? Is that a shark in the picture?
No,
Yes.
yeah,
Well,
megalodon.
Megalodon. Yeah.
Yeah, they're these
Oh.
like giant prehistoric sharks that apparently existed, you know, way back. And I can't even remember how this one manages to come into the 21st century. Some stupid. It's stupid. It's just
Okay.
stupid. Yeah.
He's all that is a definite strong stupid. Let's go to this movie, Shortcomings.
Yes, a much better film. And my
good.
my favorite, I think, of the week is this movie, Shortcomings, which I thought was a kind of rom-com, but with some astringency to it. But in retrospect, I suppose it's more of a character study. It's about this art house movie theater manager and wannabe filmmaker and his relationships with women. The lead character here is played by an actor named Justin H. Min. He's in some television series, I can't remember. Anyway, he's really good here. He plays this charming but kind of irritating, very smart, and always, you know, with always the right verbal comeback, but also immature in his relationships, especially his relationships with women, and with one woman in particular with whom he's been in this relationship for 6 years, which is put to the test. Yeah, when this woman temporarily moves to New York for this internship, or so she says. The film takes place in California, Berkeley, actually.
Oh, cool.
And I love this movie. It's smart. The dialogue is so natural and believable, and it's a riff on Asian American representation. It's surprising. I loved where this movie took me. Let's put it that way. The script is perfect. It's written by New Yorker cartoonist Adrian Tomine, and it's based on his graphic novel of the same name. The characters are fleshed out. They're dimensional. There's a lot of relationship relatability in this movie. The ensemble cast is great. Oscar nominee Stephanie Hsu from Everything Everywhere All at Once. She opens the film in this kind of affectionate dig at Crazy Rich Asians. So, and they do this thing in the movie, and quite successfully too, where the main character is arguably unlikable, but you do root for this guy because in some ways I think he represents the flaws in all of us, especially when we're, you know, struggling to make our relationships, our romantic relationships work. And that's a hard thing to pull off, but they do pull it off here. I loved everything about this movie. It just hit all my sweet spots, and I thought it was terrific. It's my favorite movie of the week. It's called Shortcomings.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And is that in theaters only?
Yeah, in theaters only. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think all these ones that you sent me.
Yeah,
is
all
theaters only.
theaters.
So let's let everybody know about that. Okay. What about this movie right here? I don't have the title on it, but it's called What Comes Around.
Yeah, it's an interesting drama. I'll say that for starters. It's a thriller first and foremost. It's directed by Amy Redford, and it's written by this guy named Scott Organ. It's based on his play, so there's some foundational juice here, shall we say, that goes beyond my description of this movie. Is a thriller. It's about it's about a 16-year-old girl who meets this older guy online in an online poetry group, and one day out of the blue, this guy just shows up unannounced at her home, which obviously creates this rift between her and her mother because the girl's besotted. It's a first love. And anyway, that's just the beginning of this story. As it unfolds, what emerges is this psychologically rich, very interesting, very thought-provoking piece that leaves you with lots to unpack when it's all over. Yeah, it's a thriller first and foremost, but there's lots kicking around in it. And the plot in the end is really just a framework for the exploration of some deeper issues, like what is technology doing to us? The mother-daughter relationship in this is really, really interesting. And the impact of a first love on a young person and the intensity of that, and the abuse of power. And I don't want to say too much more because the way this movie plays, it keeps surprising you, and you're going, oh, I thought it was about that. Oh no, it's going over here. Oh my. So I called this movie a thriller, but in terms of genre classification, it can also be categorized as a teen flick or a drama, a psychological thriller, and or a kind of horror movie. And it works on all these levels. So if you're looking for a good thriller with some substance and grist, that's this movie, What Comes Around. It's now playing in theaters. And
What Comes Around,
yeah, I think the thing I like most about it, aside from just its general timeliness, it really does capture what a lot of people are experiencing right now with all this social media stuff, is all the unexpected twists and plot turns the story kept taking, which in the end made me wonder, well, whose story is this? Is it the mother's? Is it the daughter's? Is it the man's that the daughter meets online? So anyway, for the answers to these and other burning questions, check out What Comes Around. Yeah.
Another thing, the next movie, it seems like we're getting a lot of musical biopics. This is the next one, Dreamin' Wild.
Wild, yeah, it's another really good movie that kind of popped up out of nowhere, and yeah, it's a music biopic. It's directed by Bill Poland, who in 2014 directed one of the best films of that year, in my opinion, about Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys. It was called Love and Mercy. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Anyway, so he's returning to form, in a way, so to speak, with another musical biography picture, which is about the Emerson brothers. I had never heard of the Emerson brothers, Donnie and Joe, who made an album called Dreamin' Wild in their teens that went nowhere and kind of derailed their aspirations to become professional musicians until it was rediscovered 30 years later by this record collector in an antique shop in Spokane, Washington, which brought the Emerson brothers a certain level of delayed fame, I guess you'd call it, in notoriety, because the music is really good and it's featured throughout the whole movie. But anyway, again, this is another my kind of movie. It's elegiac, it's wistful, it's beautifully composed, no pun intended, but structurally and photographically, it's beautifully composed with some great songs by Donnie Emerson, who is still with us, by the way. Casey Affleck stars as Donnie Emerson, and he is as good here as he was in Manchester by the Sea, which won him an Academy Award for Best Actor. So, maybe he'll get some awards buzz for this performance because it's really great. And Beau Bridges, too, plays his dad. And we're reminded here yet again what a great actor Beau Bridges. But it's a beautifully told story. It's a layered one. It reminded me, there's this Goethe quote where he said, "Beware of wishing for anything in youth because you will get it in middle age." That's this story, which is also one of the most unsentimental and pure tales of family I've ever seen dramatized on screen. I usually recoil a bit when people go, "Oh, this movie is about the importance of family." Yeah, we know how important family is. but this movie, Dreamin' Wild, is really about family, the pure meaning of family and familial love. Nikki, it's a 5 hanky movie. So
well, then you know that I'm in.
Yeah, but it's also the kind of movie that creeps up on you, one that not until it's over do you realize that you've seen something really special. So that's this movie. And bring the hankies, bring the tissue, because
I'm underlining Dreamin' Wild.
It's really good.
I love it. I mean, honestly, I say it every time that you mention. I just love crying at movies. I love it.
So
I love
weird.
feeling any emotion. I love it.
No,
I love it. If you make me cry, I'm like, oh my god.
No.
There are some movies that,
No, Kim, it's not weird. Come on, Kim. You watch all those Hallmark movies, and you're probably blubbering.
That is weird. I will admit that is weird.
No,
she
it's
likes
very.
But how weird is it that she likes an emotional drama and tears at movies, where at the same time she likes a horror flick?
It's emotion.
But
it made me feel something. I want to feel scared. I want to feel. I think that's what it is. More than crying. I want to feel something in a movie. Instead of just sitting there eating my popcorn and my dots, I want to cry. I want to wipe my tears away. I want to have my heart beating out of my chest. That's a good movie.
No, the older I get, the more cathartic it is to get kind of weepy when a movie touches you like that. Or it does make you feel. Horror movies make you feel like crazy. And we're complicated people, right?
Exactly.
We can do it all.
We can do it all. Exactly. All right. Well, the last one we have is Cocoa City. What is this?
Yeah, well, look at that poster. It's a black and white documentary that explores the lives of 4 Black transgender sex workers in New York and Georgia, focusing on what it's like being a Black trans female sex worker. It won prizes at Berlin and Sundance for its depiction of these women. It's a documentary, but it's an eye-opener, I think, mostly because these women comprise everything that is kind of in jeopardy right now or marginal in our society. I mean, they're Black, they're trans, and they're sex workers, some of whom were gay before they transitioned. Another group of people being targeted by the GOP and our corrupt Supreme Court. We won't go there. So it's a really illuminating portrait of 4 really interesting women, very colorful women, very expressive women, very self-aware women. And yeah, I mean, the movie goes into the kinds of men who frequent these trans sex workers who, according to these particular women, are predominantly hardcore rappers and super macho gang members and straight man trade, they're called. They call them trade. And that was an eye-opener. Well, not really, but interesting hearing their take on these men. And the film opens on an upbeat and almost kind of comic tone, but then it turns a little darker as it goes along. But in the end, it's still kind of optimistic. You know, one of the women, though, unfortunately, I featured in the film, she sadly was killed in April of this year. She was shot, I think, by a trick. I don't know, after the Sundance premiere of the movie. But so now the theatrical release print of the movie is dedicated to her. And yeah, it's a world, a way of life, and an environment that because of the movies we get a glimpse of. You know, what does that, you know, that Nicole Kidman We Make Movies Better AMC trailer where she goes, the lights begin to dim and we go somewhere where we've never been before. Well, that's this movie. That's Kokomo City. Yeah. And I should probably caution potential viewers, scenes and dialogue are sexually explicit.
Oh, yeah. I would imagine if we're looking at sex workers, transgender sex workers.
Yeah. I would say it's probably not hardcore porn, probably softcore porn.
Oh, but, wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, that's Kokomo City. All those movies. So let's go. Meg was a thumbs down. Shortcomings is yes.
Yes.
Dreamin' Wild is yes. And then Kokomo City, just be a little prepared, but was really good.
But that's good too. 4 out of 5 good movies.
That's not bad.
And really, if you have if you just want to go to a movie and just like not pay attention to plotting and just want to see people getting eaten up by megalodons, you probably,
there you go.
You know, like
there's something for everybody this weekend.
Yeah, something for everybody. Yeah, even if you like Barbie is like
you
Reagan.
You should watch it again. I heard that people that watched it the second time got more out of it.
I'll tell you, no, Nikki, truthfully, because that movie is getting so much traction. I mean, it's making a fortune. A lot of critics are loving it. I definitely, before I vote at the end of the year, I owe it to the film to see it again. And
there you go.
So I will see it again. And who knows, we can revisit this conversation.
There you go. That is what I appreciate about you. You are a fair man. I appreciate
That's right.
You
well,
so
thank you.
Much,
Thank you.
All right, Tim Sika. We will see you next Friday. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, you too, Nikki. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, so I liked Barbie. Now you saw Barbie, right? Yeah.
I haven't seen it. My daughter saw it twice. She's the one who said it was not what she expected the first time. And then she took another friend to see it on day 2. She saw it back to back. And she said, I totally understood it more. She said a lot of the first day, she said a lot of the jokes were grown up.
Yeah, went over your head a lot of stuff. Yeah.
And then the second time she saw it, she said, I understood it more. I understood what they were trying to tell me more. And I liked it really much, a lot more the second day.
Well, I knew immediately that this wasn't a kid movie, which I still maintain. It's not like a 10 and under movie. Right. I mean, they can watch it, but you're not going to get it. The minute, and there's just one line at the beginning of the movie where Barbie's like, does anybody think about death? That alone will tell you this is not made. But you know, your kid can watch it and have fun seeing all the Barbies and everything like that. But I think you have to have a little bit of age and maturity to be able to understand what's going on in this movie and to really appreciate everything that's being said in the movie. So if you haven't seen it, see it.
Why do you think it's such a blockbuster and has, raked in the cash?
Amazing marketing.
People are going. Yeah.
Amazing. And I also think because of exactly what the movie is about, that women are getting a lot of support for it, right? Like they want to see it. They want to support this message because again, if it makes you uncomfortable, if you think that it's woke or anti-patriarchy, then you're getting it. You're almost smacking your face right into the friggin' point. And that is the point. Before we end, and again, Kim, will you put the link to Mark's show? Because Kim is moving right over to Mark Thompson's, and then stay with us because it's going to be the after party live. So do that. I have some thank yous to give out. Harry with a $5 super sticker. Thank you, Harry. 415 Steve also with a $5 super sticker. It was the battle of the 20s. Sam started us off with a $20 and a contribution to the New Orleans trip fund to go see, hopefully, Taylor Swift. RJ would not be beat. RJ came in with a Friday and another $20 donation. And then Marilyn, thank you so much for your $5 super sticker. Also had some comments regarding my food segment. Lori says British scones are dry and dense. Ding, ding. That's mine. In Australia, the scones I ate were more like biscuits in the USA. Save your extra dough, wrap it around some hamburger, and bake for a hamburger en croûte. That will moisten.
That sounds good, doesn't it?
I mean, I don't know how much I like the idea of fat moistening my dry ass bread, but sure, I'll give it a shot. Why not?
Why not?
Yvonne says, morning, y'all. Love the baking segment. Time to make scones. Yay, Tim. Awesome. And then John, thank you. Found another empanada joint in the South Bay. Big E Cafe on Ross. That is extremely close to me. I know exactly where Ross is, so I might be having empanadas later today. We shall see. We shall see. You guys, please click the thumbs up button to show your support of the show. We really, really do appreciate it. It helps us out. It keeps us going. YouTube loves it. But if you really want to support the show, become a Medorable. Become an official Nikki Medoro Show fan and become a monthly Patreon subscriber. You get to decide how much you can donate, and it's a once-a-month payment. So whether it's $5, $25, or $100 a month, whatever you can afford, we appreciate it because we are 100% crowdfunded. So if you could donate any amount or bump up your monthly contribution, we really do appreciate it, and we need it to keep going. We really do. Our PayPal is up there. Our merch shop is up there. Email me at thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com if there's any food segments you want me to do. If there's any sort of designs for the Medorables that we're trying to design, let me know at thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. Okay, my friend, have a fabulous weekend. Follow Kim. The link is in the comments over to Mark's show and, of course, to the After Party Live with Kim and John Daly. And we'll talk next week. Mwah. Bye-bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're sprout like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.